Let's use a number line to compare mixed numbers. Now remember that a mixed number is like 3 1/2 or 1 2/3. We have the whole number part and a fraction, and that's what makes it a mixed number. So there you go, mixed numbers, exactly what I just did. All right, so thinking through a number line, we know that the larger number is to the right. So the further right we go, the bigger the number. And the further left we go, the smaller the number. So that's why when we put things on a number line, we can see easily which one is larger. Now with mixed numbers, one thing that would be a little bit easier to know is what is the whole number. So if I would give you 3 1/4 compared to 2 9/10, you don't even have to look at the fractions. You can just say, well, I know that 3 is bigger than 2, so 3 1/4 has to be larger than 2 9/10. That doesn't even take a number line to figure that out. But when we're talking about mixed numbers that have similar or the same whole number, like so if we're comparing 1 2/3 and 1 3/4. Well, I know both of these numbers fall somewhere between 1 and 2, but where? So we get the idea that, 2/3 means I chunk this into 3 equal parts, right? So this represents 1/3, this represents 2/3, and when I get to the next whole number, that represents 3/3. So 1 2/3 will fall right here. That's the idea of that. Now, when I get to fourths, right, because we have 1 3/4, then I would break this down and say, okay, I've got 1/4, and here in the middle is 2/4, and then I have 3/4. So 3/4 falls right here, right, 1 3/4. Therefore, 1 3/4 is further to the right, so it will be the larger number. So we would say 1 2/3 is less than 1 3/4. All right, let's do some examples. We're going to compare 1 2/3 and 2 1/4. Now, again, what I mentioned earlier, we can tell this one pretty easily, but I still want to practice putting this on the number line. So 1 2/3 falls between 1 and 2. I'm going to chunk it into 3 equal parts, and I want 2/3. So this is 1/3, this is 2/3. So 1 2/3 puts this number right here. Now, 2 1/4 means it's between 2 and 3, and it's a quarter of the way. So this would be the 2 1/4. So you can easily see by the number line that 1 2/3 is less than 2 1/4. Remember that the alligator eats the bigger number. So in this case, since 2 1/4 is further to the right, it is larger. We could also write this as 2 1/4 is greater than 1 2/3. Every inequality can be written both ways, just as long as the opening goes towards the larger number. Let's do another one. Let's compare 1 1/4 and 1 1/3. So again, these both start with 1, so they're going to be between 1 and 2. I'm first going to break this up into fourths. So we have 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4, knowing that the next whole number is the 4 out of 4. So 1 1/4, this is this value. Okay, and then I go to thirds. So I'm going to break this up into 3 equal parts. And so this is 1/3 and this is 2/3. So 1 1/3, this is 1 1/3 is here. So they're pretty close, but you can still see that 1 1/3 is on the right. So 1 1/4 is less than 1 1/3 because 1/3 is to the right of 1/4. Again, you could also write that as 1 1/3 is greater than 1 1/4. So the key is plotting them on the number line and seeing which one falls further to the right. That is the larger number. Oh, I have another. How exciting. 1 2/3 and 1 5/7. I'm going to start here with the sevenths because that sounds difficult for me to break this up. So I've got 1 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, that was not good. Let me restart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's pretty close. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be 5/7. All right, so now when we check the other one, 2/3, that means between 1 and 2, I'm chunking it into 3 equal parts. So we've got 1, and I'm going to go about right there. So 1/3 and 2/3. So these are going to be very close, but 1 and 2/3 is less than 1 and 5/7. So when you have things that are close, right, and then we could also say 1 and 5/7 is greater than 1 and 2/3, you're going to want to make sure that your parts are as equal as possible. If I had drawn my sevenths a little better, it probably would have been closer to over here. So you would have been able to see that 2/3 is just to the left of 5/7. So when you're using a number line, you want to make sure you've got your intervals equal, and then you can do a nice, easy comparison of which one is furthest to the right.